Well, Lene, let's start at the beginning, which is where I come in. Geologists help to find the minerals that are under the ground for decades, and I've been in charge of drilling holes to find out exactly where the minerals are and how much of them are there. This early stage of the process is called exploration. And it's been really exciting because we've found a mineral deposit containing nearly 13 million tons of copper and 15 million ounces of gold. More than 1,200 people, most of them from around here, have helped so far to find these valuable minerals. The next step is to finish a plan on how to continue to look after the environment and the local people when mining starts.
Daddy, how do they take out the copper and gold out of the ground?
Well, Nene, there are two main types of mining. One is underground, which is used when the minerals are deep in the earth. Vertical shafts or sloping tunnels are dug into the ore body. Workers go underground in small vehicles where they use big machines to lay explosives in order to break up the rock and then move the broken rock. The rock is then sent to the surface in trucks or conveyors for processing and separation into the different minerals and eventual shipping to customers.
Is that how they will mine at Tampakan, Daddy?
No, Nene. At Tampakan, the copper and gold are fairly close to the surface, so we will use what they call an open cut method.
So, what does that mean?
A good example, Nene, is an Australian mine owned by Extrata Copper, the same company that manages the Tampakan Copper Gold Project. It's called Ernest Henry and is in the far northwest of the Australian state of Queensland. Like Tampakan, the Ernest Henry minerals are close to the surface, which is why the open-cut mining method is used. First, we remove the topsoil and vegetation so that it can either be used directly in areas for rehabilitation or we store it so it can be used later. Then the surface materials are removed to expose the ore body. Holes are then drilled into the ore, explosives placed in the drill holes, and then there's an explosion to break up the ore. The broken rock is loaded by big excavators into huge dump trucks, which are then driven up a ramp to the crusher. The rock then goes through a number of processes, including grinding, flotation to separate the different minerals, and dewatering before the resulting concentrate is taken by the road to the outback town of Mount Isa, where it is smelted. During smelting, impurities such as sulfur and iron are removed to form anode copper. The anode is then railed to Extrata's copper refinery in Townsville on the Queensland coast, where it is further refined to produce a copper cathode. The pure copper is then loaded onto ships at Townsville port and exported to customers all over the world. Along with the copper, smaller amounts of gold are also produced.
Is this what will happen at the Tampakan mine, Daddy?
There are a few differences, Nene. At Tampakan mine, instead of being dewatered, the ore will be pumped through a sealed pipeline to the port. Also, the ore won't be smelted or further refined here. It will simply be dried out and loaded onto the ships to our customers. The other thing to mention is that the leftover waste materials from the removal of surface materials and processing along with the water will be carefully stored and managed on the mine site and at the port.
Hey, Dad! I've been learning at school what copper and gold are used for.
That's great, Nene. Tell me, what have you learned?
Well, of course we all know that gold is used in jewelry, but did you also know that it's used in computers, mobile phones, calculators, dentistry, in spaceships, glass making, and also to cure some medical conditions?
That's very good, Nene. And what about copper?
Well, for a start, there's electrical generators, electrical wiring, and the wires in things like computers, motors, radios, and TV sets.
Anything else, Nene?
Oh, yes! Much more things.
Such as?
Coins and pipes. Did you know that the use of copper in water pipes dates back to the Romans and ancient Egyptians?
No, that's fascinating. And what else?
Well, there's copper in car radiators, air conditioners, and for the base of cooking pots because it conducts heat really well. It is also used in fungicides and insecticides. fertilizers, and to make bronze and brass.
Good girl, Nene. You've obviously been studying very hard. You could soon be a geologist like me.